You have heard your own voice every single day of your life, and you have never once heard it the way it truly sounds. You already know this. You have felt it. Someone hits record, plays it back, and a stranger comes out of the speaker. Higher, thinner, slightly ridiculous. You wince and say the words everyone says. That is not me. That is not what I sound like. But here is the part nobody tells you. That thin little voice on the recording is not the fake one. It is the real one. It is the voice every person who has ever met you has been hearing all along. The stranger is you. And the voice you have defended your whole life, the deep, warm, familiar one inside your head, is a private edition that only you will ever hear. How is that possible? How can you be wrong about the single sound you have heard more than any other? To understand it, you have to follow the sound of your own voice on the two separate journeys it takes to reach you. When you speak, you set the air moving. Sound waves leave your lips, travel out into the room, curl around, and enter your ears from the outside, exactly the way every other sound in the world reaches you. This is called air conduction. It is the only path a recorder can capture, and it is the only path anyone else has to you. When your friend listens to you talk, this is the entire story. Air out, air in, nothing more. But you're not only hearing yourself from the outside, you are hearing yourself from the inside too. As your vocal cords vibrate, they shake the bones of your skull. Your jaw, your teeth, the dense bone behind your ears, all of it hums with the movement, and that vibration travels straight through the solid structure of your head to the hearing organ deep inside, the cochlea. This second path is called bone conduction, and it does something remarkable. Bone carries low frequencies far better than air does. So as the vibrations move through your skull, they lift and deepen the bass of your own voice, adding a richness, a weight, a warmth that simply is not there in the sound leaving your mouth. So every time you speak, you hear a blend. The outside voice through the air and the inside voice through the bone, mixed together into one sound that feels completely normal to you. It is fuller, it is deeper, and it is yours alone. No microphone can record it, no other person can hear it. It exists only inside your own head. The scientist who mapped how sound travels through bone was a Hungarian named Georg von Békésy, and his work on the mechanics of hearing was so important that it won him a Nobel Prize in 1961. He showed in precise detail how the cochlea responds to vibration, whether that vibration arrives through the air or straight through the skull. Because of researchers like him, we know exactly why the two paths sound different. Bone conduction favors the low end. Air conduction does not. Your private voice has a bass boost built into your own head. Now think about what happens when you press play on a recording. The recorder never had access to the bone path. It only ever caught the air. So when you hear yourself played back, the entire warm underlayer is gone, stripped out. What is left is only the thin, higher air-conducted voice, the one you have never really listened to on its own, because your whole life it has been wrapped in that skull-deep bass. Suddenly it sounds wrong, it sounds high, it sounds like someone else, but it is not someone else. It is simply you, with the private half subtracted, which is to say, it is you as the rest of the world has always known you. Here is where it gets stranger. Because it is not only that your recorded voice sounds different, it is that you usually do not like it. You cringe. And that reaction, that specific flinch, has a name and a history of its own. In 1966, two researchers named Philip Holzman and Clyde Rousey ran a study on exactly this. They recorded people speaking, played it back to them, and watched their reactions closely. Almost everyone was unsettled, and Holzman and Rousey argued the discomfort was about more than pitch. They called it voice confrontation. When you hear your recorded voice, you are not just noticing that it is higher than expected. You are being confronted, for the first time, with the voice as an outsider hears it, carrying signals about your emotions, your hesitations, your accent, your personality that you never intended to broadcast, and never realized were leaking out. Inside your head, you hear the words you meant. On the recording, you hear how you actually come across. And those two things are not the same. That gap is the cringe. It is the sound of meeting yourself as a stranger meets you. There is one more force at work, and it may be the most powerful of all. A psychologist named Robert Zajonc spent years studying a simple, relentless feature of the human mind. He called it the mere exposure effect. In study after study, he found the same thing. The more often you are exposed to something, the more you tend to like it, purely because it is familiar. Familiarity itself feels good. It feels safe. It feels right. Now apply that to your voice. You have heard your internal, bass-rich voice hundreds of thousands of times. It is one of the most familiar sensations you own. The external, air-only voice on the recording, you have barely heard at all. So when it plays, your brain does not just register it as different. It registers it as unfamiliar, and unfamiliar reads as wrong. You are not really hearing a bad voice. You are hearing an underexposed one. Everyone else who has only ever heard that version likes it perfectly well. To them, it is simply the sound of you. Sit with that for a second. The voice you find slightly embarrassing is the voice your closest friends find warm and normal and completely, unmistakably yours. They have never heard the other one. They never will. The version of you that you are most attached to is the one version of you that is entirely private, and the version you reject is the only one you have ever actually shared with another human being. So which one is the real you? You want to say the inside voice. It feels more true. It feels like the core, the original, the authentic sound underneath. But that inside voice is a sensation you cannot give to anyone. It cannot be recorded, cannot be shared, cannot be proven to exist to a single other person on earth. It is real, but it is real only for an audience of one. The voice on the recording, the one you flinch at, is the voice that has actually done everything your voice has ever done. It comforted people. It made them laugh. It said your vows, your apologies, your worst arguments, and your kindest words. Every memory anyone holds of your voice is a memory of the recording, not the one in your head. And this is not really about voices at all, because the voice is only the clearest example of a much larger truth. There is a version of you that you experience from the inside, and a version of you that everyone else experiences from the outside. And you have spent your whole life assuming they were the same thing. They are not. You never see your own face in real time, only in mirrors and photos that feel slightly off. You never watch your own expressions move. You never catch the small gestures your hands make while you talk. The self you know is assembled from the inside, warm and familiar and bass-rich. The self the world knows is the one that leaves your body and enters the room. And the recording is the rare, uncomfortable moment when those two collide and you get to hear, just for a second, what it is like to meet you. That is why the reaction is so strong. It is not vanity. It is a genuine collision between two selves that almost never occupy the same place at the same time. The engineers who build our recording devices have been chasing your inner voice for a century and cannot capture it because it was never in the air to catch. The most sensitive microphone on earth can record the room, the breath, the faintest whisper across a hall, and it will still never once record the voice you hear when you speak. It lives and dies inside a single skull, yours, and vanishes forever the moment you do. So the next time a recording plays and a stranger's voice comes out of the speaker, and you reach to say, "That is not me," stop, because it is you. It is the truest, most public, most shared voice you have ever had. And the deep, warm, familiar one you are so sure is the real you, the one you have heard every single day of your life, is the one voice you will carry your whole life and never truly share with anyone.